Hey everyone, Coach Patrick here from Endurance Nation, back on another Coach broadcast, Coach video cast this week. Special one. Going to do a little 3-part video series here as we head into the winter to give you a sense of how we train inside Endurance Nation. The way that we work here is a little different than most coaching methodologies. We call it anti-vanilla. In other words, we don't do things the way that everyone else does things. No cookie cutter training methodology approaches here. We have an athlete first mindset. And that athlete first mindset means we build training plans, we build training programs, we build a season that reflects what's best for our athletes, what's best for you. We're built by athletes for athletes. So we create tools, resources, and experiences that allow you to become smarter. Smarter athletes are faster athletes. So today, as I talk about the OutSeason program, called the OutSeason because we don't take it off. It's the OutSeason. We're not in season, but we're doing work in the OutSeason because the OutSeason is the best time to get ahead of the competition, to get ahead of your former self. Now, it's easy to look at things from a race perspective and say, well, if I was running a marathon, I may go really fast at the beginning so I can get ahead of people and then, just hang on for the end, right? Like fly and maybe not die. Who knows, right? From a training perspective, a similar idea can take place and has worked very well here inside the team for many years. In fact, it started with me back when I was in college, and I walked on to the Boston University crew team as a sophomore, never having rowed before, and boy, did it show. And I knew that I was in trouble because while I was fit and I could train and run around, I really didn't know what the heck I was doing from a rowing perspective. And it showed up for sure when we were indoors in the winter on the erg machine, those Concept 2 rowing machines. And we had a 2-week winter break. Coach sent us home with a program and said, hey, come back in 2 weeks, do this program, right? So I went to the Y, signed up, did all the things. And I committed during those 2 weeks to do a ton of training. I did 2-a-days instead of 1-a-days. I did plenty of sleeping. My family may be not so happy, but I crushed it. And when I came back, my 5K time, which is sort of our benchmark test, from early December to early January had improved by over 1.5 minutes. And it moved me from being in the way back to not in the way back anymore, more the front half of things. And it was a big leap forward and a huge eye opener for me as an athlete to say, I could train hard when everyone else is training hard. And that's important from a teamwork concept and from being, showing, the coaches and, everyone around me that I'm committed and dedicated. But from an improvement perspective, doing work when everyone else is not doing work, and the right work, indeed, not just going crazy, can be extremely effective. So the OutSeason is coming. And this OutSeason, I've got 3 concepts for you to focus on. Okay. The first one here is my favorite, which is sort of how we build fitness. I boiled it down into 3 things for you. It's go hard, go home, rest big. That's our mantra for the wintertime. And that's something you just really have to kind of bake in as an Endurance Nation athlete, so you understand what it is we're trying to attempt, right? So first, go hard. We do a lot of high intensity work here in the winter. Contrary to what most people will tell you to do, we have sort of a reverse periodization program where the race specificity for you as you get closer to your race isn't about more intensity. It's about distance. It's about execution. It's about pacing. It's about nutrition. We build a great deal of fitness and high-end fitness in the winter. Well, how do we do it in the winter? What's the story with that? Well, you can get a lot of rest in the winter. You can do hard work and rest. In the winter, you can rest 24 hours or 36 hours or 48 hours because you don't have the demands of a race and the need to build training load on your schedule. So we have plenty of time. Whereas in season, you might be doing 2 days. Out of season, 1-a-day is fine. You've got a life. You've got other things to do. We can really hit some hard sessions and get into it. So what does it mean to go hard inside Endurance Nation? Number one, find your modality. For most people inside the team, it's the bike, but you could use a rower. You could use a ski erg. You could use any version of aerobic device, torture device that you like, but find your modality. And we're going to set up your week to structure rest, right? So we say, where do you want to work? How do you want to work out? We have plans for a variety of different athletes, from triathletes to just plain multi-sport athletes, to runners, to cyclists, and so on. We work these plans to structure the intervals such that there's plenty of rest between those hard days and then good work to do on the other days. More on that in a minute. The third thing that we do is we chart incremental growth. So we look week to week. Every week we just kind of move just a little bit. We don't have to go crazy. We don't have to go from 70% fitness to 80% fitness in a week, but we'll say 70% fitness. We're looking for like 71, maybe 72% fitness that next week. And the next week after that, maybe 73. Got a rest week, maybe dial it back. We go back and say, let's get to 73 again. Then we'll go 74, 75. We go through this progression where we build expectations with you as the athlete to know that you're going to progress, and you see the value in these key high intensity workouts during your week. Not all workouts, not just any workout you do where you go run around the neighborhood and say, I should be faster than I was last time just because I should be faster, but actually targeted intervals structured such as to build fitness for you and increase training stress in a time efficient and appropriate manner. And then the fourth and final part of going hard is testing often. I say that because we don't want you just to go hard because you can go hard. Doing well inside a set of intervals means that you're strong through all the intervals and maybe even a little bit stronger on that last one. Good pacing even matters inside intervals. Testing allows us to calibrate what it means to be doing the right work when we say go hard. It's very easy for people to overestimate their ability and actually end up setting themselves further back. And this goes extra specially sure for people who are runners, because with running we have to be very careful with intervals, and also of course careful with intervals in the winter months. All right, so that's the go hard portion. What about that second phase, right? I said to you, I said, go ahead, go home. He said, what the heck is Coach Patrick talking about? Why go home? What does that mean? Go home for us is a pace. It's your go home pace, right? Your workout is done. Now we're just going to go home. Let's take it in, right? Cooling down. What does it look like for us? It means kind of zone one, maybe a little bit of zone two, in between zone one, zone two, just that aerobic pace where you could chat, catch up, look around you, see other stuff. You're not locked into that sort of higher intensity, hard type work. And this is really important because we don't just dial the needle from one side to the other. We're not just saying go hard, and then we just go hard all the time. Or we say go easy or go easy all the time. We actually have your program working on two different axes. So from a strength perspective with that higher intensity, but then also from an aerobic conditioning perspective with this go home pace. And this sort of oppositional structure allows you to do a little more work in the wintertime because we're not always going hard, right? And we get a little benefit of variety because we're not always going easy, right? So what does the go home look like, right? Well, first of all, you choose what it is you want to do. It's not meant to be work. Like all aerobic modalities are welcome. So you could walk, you count your steps, you could do swimming, you could do rollerblading, you could do cycling, you could do running, if you want to do those types of things. But it's really up to you in terms of how you choose that aerobic modality. And that's the kind of thing that we put to play inside your training program, right? And we think about growing that aerobic fitness later in the year, but right now, early in the winter, we use it as a frequency tool. So for biking hard in the morning and we can get 30 minutes of cycling in the afternoon, doesn't sound like much, but that 30 minutes adds up. We're getting a little bit of extra cycling time, maybe flushing out the legs a little bit. We're also keeping your metabolism going across the winter, and it's a small dose. It doesn't seem like much, but it's very effective. In season, when you're used to riding 3 hours or 4 hours, and I said, hey, ride your bike for 30 minutes, you'd look at me like I was crazy. Why would you get on the bike for 30 minutes? You just have to get off it again, right? You just got on it. But in the wintertime, it's actually very effective and can be structured such to give us the benefits that we want in a very time-ordered fashion that works for you. And since you can choose a modality, you could walk at lunch or work, you could walk after work, you could ride bikes with the kids, you could rollerblade around the park, you could do whatever you want, right? There's lots of options for that second go-home stage of the OutSeason training program. But very important for you to know that you not only have a choice, but it is actually very important to your build. All right. And then the third final portion of the OutSeason approach, rest big. And resting big is really important. The first thing that people say when they join Endurance Nation and load up their race preparation plan 12 weeks out is they say, where are the off days? Coach, there are no off days in my program. Well, first and foremost, we work with you to put those off days in. So don't worry about it. We want to find out where you go. But second and most important piece that I tell athletes is that you should be doing a lot of work. You've got a life, you've got other things that fit into your schedule. So you can't just work more on a Tuesday or a Wednesday or Thursday and then just take off on the other days. We've got to really sort of spread out that effort in a deliberate and intentional manner. But that means that when are we resting? We rest a great deal in the winter. Now, I know I talked about going hard and going home, and you're like, all this training in my program, how am I resting? You rest in a variety of ways, and rest in the winter from a seasonal perspective is really important. Even though we want you to get stronger and do work, we don't want to do it in a way that accumulates a significant amount of fatigue. So we really focus on rest as well. So resting, ultimately, you should know, is a skill. So resting is a skill. It's something that we use to make ourselves more competitive, more fit, more sustained ability to go hard, do work over time. So resting isn't off. People think about like a light switch, like I'm resting, so I'm off. No, resting is preparing for that next session. Resting is making you stronger and better at the things that you want to do. So it's a skill and it's something that we need to practice. Wintertime is when we practice that skill. Okay. Resting regularly is also a habit. So, from a habit building perspective, when can you rest? When's the best time for you to rest? Some people like to focus on rest during the day. Some people focus on it in terms of sleep. Some people focus on it as like a recovery mechanism from a hard session. Whatever that rest element may be for you, the one that resonates the most, let's pick that up and we're going to work on it here through the winter months and really get you to a place where you understand just how hard you worked and how much rest you need to recover from that so we can continue on that upwards trajectory that we mentioned earlier in this video. Okay. And finally, resting is more than just post workout nutrition. And I put that bullet there simply because a lot of athletes simply look at rest as, well, I don't need to really rest. I just have this recovery shake and I'm good. I keep going. Right. And most of us are sort of on that general treadmill of life. Like I wake up, do the workout, take the shower, get in the car, go to work, get the kids, come home, cook dinner. It just never stops, right? You're just constantly moving. From a rest perspective, we like to use the wintertime in that reduced total training load to really drive into your program opportunities for rest because we have more time. We build that rest habit and you're beginning to see the results of that consistent rest and how it's made you not only a better athlete, but most likely a better parent, most likely a better adult, and most likely better at work, better at your other activities. Rest really makes a massive difference across the board. And we can start cultivating that now here in the OutSeason. We have nap contests inside Endurance Nation and lots of other things. You get discount on recovery boots if you want those things, or hyper ice, or whatever it is you need. But ultimately, that rest portion is really big. So to recap, these OutSeason video 1, we have the go hard with those high intensity intervals. We have go home with that steady aerobic component that is either in the second part of the day or on select days when you're not doing your harder intervals. And then finally, rest big, really developing the habit of rest and baking it into your program. So as we head into the season and start doing more work, you understand what it means to have been rested and to not be rested. And you want to get back to that rested state, and we put that to work for you. All right. You can check us out online at endurancenation.us. We've got a lot going on here these winter months. The team is open for the month of October every single year. You can go ahead and create the membership that you want. It's really an opportunity for you to find a program that makes you stronger and smarter. We believe in both. And to join a community of athletes, over 300 of us, who are committed to this aspect of being the best we can be without compromises on the things that are really important to us. Okay. You can learn more at endurancenation.us/new join. That's just one word, new and join. And you can go through there and learn more about the programs we have and dial in. Okay. Thanks so much for tuning in, folks. I'll be back later with another video. Talk to you soon. See you.